You know, I hate the fact that you hear commercials and none of the offers are going to last long.
Hey, now, you got to do it now. This offer won't last long. Got to get in right now because this offer won't last long.
All right, well, good. Well, then what if I'm not in the mood to do it until later on? Here's an offer for you that stands and will stand the test of time, and it's a free yoga class at the Cincinnati Yoga School. All you got to do is walk in and say, you know what, I heard it on the radio, it intrigued me, or I heard it on the radio, and I thought the guy that was doing it was really strange, and I wondered if he was around and if he could actually touch his toes, and did he really have nose hairs that were sticking out? But the Cincinnati Yoga School, cincyyoga.com is the website, and you can find out information there about when, you know, which class might be most appropriate and which time would work best for you. And in those classes, what you're essentially going to be learning in the beginning is asanas. And asanas are the postures, the poses that we're also familiar with. And Yogani, once again, from Advanced Yoga Practices, is here with us tonight. And we're discussing asanas, mudras, and bandhas. And there's an abbreviated version of the asanas that's in the book that we've been discussing tonight, that incorporates 4 elements that are very, very important when it comes to postures. What are those?
Yeah, well, we're actually getting a little esoteric here because asanas, as was mentioned before, are for cultivating the nervous system to go to the next step, which is breathing. And the main highway of the nervous system is what we call the spinal nerve, or in Sanskrit it's called sushumna. And that's basically the nerve that goes from your perineum up your center of your spinal column and to the center of your head. And the way we use it, we go forward to the center of the brow. It also has many branches, many thousands of branches, but it is the main highway. And believe it or not, in asanas, we are acting directly on that spinal nerve. And the 4 elements that do that in all asana routines are basically a forward bend, a back bend, a twist, and that would be to the left and the right, and inversion. And if you look at any yoga posture, you will find some or sometimes more than one of those elements involved. And all of those together manipulate the spinal nerve and prepare that main highway for spinal breathing pranayama, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, and for deep meditation. By the way, the previous radio interviews that we've done are on the AYP, AdvancedYogaPractices.com website. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a link to recordings of all the radio shows that we've done so far. So anyway, with those 4 elements involved, if you're really on the go, now we're coming back into the real world. If you're really on the go, you know, and you're getting up and trying to get to work, and you want to meditate for 15 or 20 minutes, you want to do your spinal breathing for 5 minutes, you want to do some asanas, and you just don't have time, what you can do is 4 simple postures that cover those 4 elements of forward bend, back bend, inversion, and twist, and do that in a few minutes. Jump into your spinal breathing and jump into your meditation and be out the door in about 20 or 30 minutes. Not recommended for regular practice, but hey,
better than nothing.
This is America, and everybody's busy.
Well, it's like if you don't have time for lunch, you go grab a power bar and some juice. And
you can also do these 4 postures while standing in street clothes. So, like I said, not recommended for a long time. Twice a day, but sometimes, you know, you're stuck in the airport or you're stuck, you know, in the lunchroom or whatever. And there are a lot of ways to give the spinal nerve some stretching.
You can do it at the bus stop if you want.
You can do it anywhere.
Okay. So that's is that in a nutshell the asanas, or is there more for that? Because we need to take a break and set things up for what we can expect coming up in the next half hour here, Yogani.
I think we'll probably touch back on it because there is some overlap, but let's move on.
Okay. Well, in the next half hour, we're going to be discussing mudras and bandhas, and these are internal physical maneuvers that will further you on the road of awakening ecstatic kundalini. So if that's something that piques your curiosity, then I'll tell you what, the next half hour is something you're not going to want to miss. If you want to check in, please don't hesitate, 513-749-1360 or 877-345-3779. This is 1360, thesource.com. Well, hi there, Scott Fitzgerald in again on 1360thesource.com. This is Yoga, the other 98%. And I remember what show I'm doing. It is tough sometimes because I do shows here, I do it on KRC, I do it on LW, and it's like, where am I today? Okay, let me look in the studio. They all look alike. Our telephone number here, which is not the same as all the other studios, is 877-345-3779. Okay? It's 345-3779 with an 877 in the front of it. And once again, Yogani is our guest from Advanced Yoga Practices, and that's practices with an S.com. And we're talking asanas, mudras, and bandhas. These are more on the physical side of the advanced yoga practices. And are we moving on to mudras now?
Yeah, let's do that. But before we do, I just want to mention that before we get into these internal physical maneuvers, to have them work best in terms of effects, and also to keep balance, because we're now going to begin manipulating the inner energies inside the body. And so it's important to have balance. And so before we go into mudras and bandhas, it's important that if you're doing an asana routine, that's good, but you should also be doing some spinal breathing pranayama and deep meditation. And once you have a good, stable routine of those things, you can begin to look at mudras and bandhas. And mudras and bandhas don't really add time very much, practically none, onto the daily routine. This is one of the real advantages of them. They essentially overlap asanas and spinal breathing primarily, and then later on they creep into meditation as automatic habits. So they're really an overlap to the other things that we're doing to make everything we're doing more effective in terms of cultivating ecstatic conductivity, which we also call ecstatic kundalini.
And they really do become automatic habits. These are, from my experience, I found these are things that your body is going to do anyway if you continue along the path. This is just sort of training.
Absolutely. You're really just giving your body some hints and some structure. Structure is very important. If we've been meditating for a while or even doing asanas for a while, we may begin to experience some of these mudras and bandhas automatically. That doesn't mean we should be doing them for 3 or 4 hours at a time, because these are very powerful inner maneuvers that the human nervous system has the capability to do. And what we are doing here with practices is just introducing them very gently and naturally, one at a time, not all at once, and that's how we sort of put our whole practice routine into a higher gear in terms of ecstatic energy.